mesmerized by a pair of wise dice. Then attend to this heaven slice of an angel wrapped in skin. Throw dice and woes of life. Love deprived, looking to revive. What's the meaning of life? One subjective paradise. Crystal chandeliers, moons reflected. Often bears a pit, quick, grinning from ear to ear. Craving and rating the grain, rekindling the flame. Closer she draws near. Stay there, remove your underwear, shove it somewhere over there. In paradise, we know our purpose. In paradise, we know what our worth is. In paradise, we manifest dreams. In paradise, truth is what you conceive.
Boom. Yes, it is. The truth is what you can see. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of the Unpopular Hour. Of course, I'm your host, Matt Clark. Sorry we're on a little late today, but trying to get all the news in, trying to get my graphics in. It's been a crazy day thus far, but I think we've got everything squared away. And looking forward to having my guy, Tommy Tubbs, on today to talk about his dad, Billy Tubbs, and just trying to take Billy Ball to the hall. So we're going to talk in depth about that. We're going to talk about the fight this past weekend, or the beat down it was. So excited about that, and no worries about all the other stuff. But anyway, had a really good time this weekend. Plus, we've got some soccer and stuff coming up. The USA having a huge game that they've got to win today. When we put up the standings, you'll see what I mean. I mean, we're sitting okay, but we have to have a win or a loss today to get that in. So, speaking of that, let's talk about. I know that my guy Drew Hinthorn is going to be on today to talk about his record. He was on fire with the fight this past weekend, and we'll talk about that. I mean, I just can't. This boy, I mean, it was okay, but I can say this, that him and Dryden, they should never do. They did the whitest dance I've ever seen together. I mean, now granted, Drew hit a big thing, but I asked them both, don't ever do that again in front of me, please. I still can't unsee it as I'm talking about it on my show right now. I can't unsee what I saw with those two. It's like, bro, it was the whitest white dance I've ever seen, and I'm over it. I don't put that in front of my face again. Don't put that in front of my face again. But anyway, let's talk about the Thunder. We've got, the NBA over-unders come out for a couple people, and the Thunder wins are over-under 44. And we talked about that a little bit, and like I said, I'm going to give my over-under that I think it's going to be over still to this, but I'm going to wait till training camp to where I can watch them a little bit to see kind of what we're going to get, because, preseason you can't really, tell anything. But just based on what I saw last year, based on what I saw from Chet during the summer, do I think we're going to win 44 games? Yeah, 44 wins, just 44 games. Do I think we're going to be at about 50? Yes. If Chet really plays the way that he should play, which is 12 to 14 a game, 8 rebounds, and 3 blocks, 3 to 4 blocks, I think we'll be fine. If Josh Giddey and J-Dub averages 20 points a game, I think we'll be fine. SGA is going to do what SGA does at right around 30. So if we can do that, I'll be fine. But if Chet averages 18 points a game and stuff like that, it's going to break up the chemistry, which means Josh Giddey is going to have to give him the ball for that to happen. And I do not want Josh to go back to being a pass first, shoot second person. What he was so effective at is when he is looking to score first. Then now the defense is back on his heels, which means that he has the option to pass. And early in the year, he was turning the ball over a lot or in crucial moments because they know he's looking to pass the ball. They know he's not looking to score. So defenses can slide off, or the smarter players know, because they watch film too. I know he's going to pass the ball. So they can slide in and do a lot as far as that's concerned to get to Josh. So, or to steal the ball away from Josh. So I was really worried about that. So I'm hoping that Josh will will stay aggressive and not look to pass the basketball. He looked to score first, because if he does that and then allow Chet to be the second overall player and all this stuff that he supposedly is, then let him get his own buckets. Let him score his own self. And if he can do that and Chet can be somewhat good about what he can do, then I think the Thunder will be fine. But if it's at the point to where that we're looking for Josh to set Chet up, and then Josh all of a sudden becomes passive again, then the Thunder are going to be in a lot of trouble. So, Josh, SGA 30, Josh, the 20s, and clearly J-Dub is becoming our second best player, but he's not quite there. And I think if Josh will take that competitive challenge, let's call it challenge, on to keep up with J-Dub and be worried about scoring first and passing second, then I think that Josh will remain our second best player. And in that particular scenario, the Thunder get to 50 wins easy. 50 wins easy. I mean, to me, that's easy. Now, if Chet can do what he does, along with the development of Jay Will even more in that dynamic duo with big, little shot blocker, one guy taking up the paint with charges and things like that, along with K. Rich, he's going to be doing the same thing. That's going to allow the Thunder to do way, way more. So I'm excited about what I see from them, and I'm excited about, like I said, whatever. How do I say this? I'm excited about the Thunder and the ability for them to be able to score on people. My biggest thing is defensively, we're going to have to improve. We have just got to improve, because if we do that, because we were right in between the Lakers and I believe Golden State in defensive efficiency last year, 17-ish, somewhere around there. We've got to improve on that. Like I said, if we can get to top 10, 11, 12, top 10-ish, whatever, then what we do offensively, it's going to be hard for anybody to deal with us. Now, has the Thunder kind of addressed that? Sure. With Chet coming back and J-Dub playing together a lot, I think J-Dub and Nathan Taylor came up with this back in the day when Ibaka and we were good defensively. Ibaka was in the 4. You had oh my God, what's my man? Kendrick Perkins in the middle, and then you had when he left, and then we added oh my God, what's our big boy's name that plays in Memphis now? When we got him, Steven Adams, then that allowed Ibaka to block shots again. And him at pure center is not going to work. Just like J-Dub at pure center is not going to work. Just as now he could take charges, but rebounding, we were hurting. Now with this, the way that it's going to be set up, that's going to allow Chet to average those 3 to 4 blocks a game, which will make us much better. Then you've got Kaysen, who is a better defender. You've already got Aaron Wiggins, great wing defender. Then you've got SGA, who is a very good wing defender in his own right. If J-Dub can get better, Josh can get better at wing defending. We've already got Dort, and he can possibly be the defensive player of the year if he just focuses on defense and not worry about his offense. And if Daignault is who I think he is, who I think he can be, because right now the way I view him, our coach, as a very good coach who can build players up and get younger players better. That's how I look at him. Now that your players are good, the question is, can you now make that jump as a coach to make your players better? That is my one thought process with him. Can he do that? The jury is going to be out there, because to me, he's got to be able to say, Dort, I need you not to average 17 points a game. I need you to average 10 to 12 points a game and focus more defensively. I need everybody else to do, SGA, I need you to average 30. I need J-Dub and Josh, I need y'all in the 20s. Chet, I need you to be at 12 to 14. Jay Will, I need you to be at 8 to 10. Isaiah Joe, I need you to be around double figures at 10, coming off the bench, knocking down shots. Kaysen, I need to be, 6 to 8 points a game. Maybe 9. Aaron Wiggins, I need you to be at 8 to 10 points a game and make layups and quit missing so many layups. If you can do that, you improved on your three-point shot. But defensively, I need you to be able to do more, maybe guard the 4 instead of the 1, 2, and 3, but be able to guard the 4, which Kendrick Williams does very well but he can't guard the 1, 2, and 3. His feet aren't quick enough. So if Aaron Wiggins can make more shots, I need Kendrick Williams. I need you to score maybe 4 to 6 points a game. So if he can put everybody where they should be, and then solve the two major issues that we have: second quarter starting lineup, fourth quarter starting lineup. And especially in the fourth quarter when the game is on the line, can you do what you need to do and start the correct lineups at that particular point? And we're joined by my guy, Tommy Tuz. What's up, homie?
Hello, Matt. How are you today?
Hey, I'm doing good. Just breaking down a little Thunder deal. I don't know if you watch the Thunder at all. Do you?
Uh, I
Little.
watch them every time. I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, well, the over-under is 44 and a half, 44 wins. And I said that they can win 50, I think, pretty easily. But depending on what Chet really does will depend on whether they're 50 plus or right at 50. How do you feel?
I agree, but the big question, big key. I think he's a great talent. Is just staying healthy.
Yeah. So
That's a lot of games. 82 games is a lot different than college, isn't it?
yeah, I think that he's going to average about 65 games. I don't think you can he's got to average at least 65 in order to win the Rookie of the Year. So, he's going to play at least 65 games, which, I'd say no back-to-backs for him. Don't you agree?
Oh, I definitely agree. And as far as Rookie of the Year, though, the kid that San Antonio just drafted, man, what a battle that's going to be.
Yeah, if he plays against us, because I know that Popovich has come out and said he doesn't care about awards. So what he's basically
Right.
saying is they don't care if he plays 65 games. They're going to play him the minimum amount of games they got to play him and keep him on that process as far as getting better, because they have that $500 million facility that they built down there for enhancing their performance, which I'd love to go down there and visit that. What does $500 million facility look like for nutrition and weightlifting? And I'd like to see what that looks like.
I would love to see that. Yeah, that's a lot. It's a lot of money.
A lot of money. And then, of course, Jalen Williams, or J-Dub, do you think he's going to be able to be an all-star this year?
I think he has a chance. Again,
but the West is loaded.
The West is loaded. But man, isn't that great? It's 104 degrees outside in the summertime, and we're talking about basketball, man. I love it.
Hey, usually you don't do that, do you? This is
No,
strictly football conversation.
This is football country, but being turned into basketball country. The Thunder. I watch every game and just love it. What they've done for our community and the state is just amazing. And but to get a guy like Chet Holmgren to come in, and I was really excited last year and hated to hear about the injury. I guess, has he come back? Is he pretty much full speed now?
Yeah, he's full speed. He looked really good in the summer league once he stopped trying to be a point guard. When they stopped trying to get him to bring the ball up the point, and I've said this since last year, he is not a point guard. He cannot bring the ball up the floor. And every time he does it, he's a turnover machine. Just give that to the guards, let him get down low and work. Hey, pick and rolls, catch it down low on the post in a mismatch, turn around and jump over your 7'4", whatever you are. They're not going to block your shot. Just get in the post. Quit trying to do all this, stuff that you're not capable of doing in the NBA. That's how I feel about him. And I think towards the end of the summer league, they stopped, because Casey Williams and Jared Butler were like, "Give me the ball." They run over, hey, "Give me the ball, man. Just get down there." We're not giving the ball. Lou Dort, Player of the Year. What do you think? Defensive player.
I think it's possible, man. He's been a big surprise. He's strong,
Mm-hmm.
Now he's got more experience, and anything's possible.
Did it drive you crazy when he was fouling guys on the 3-point shot at the end of games? I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you near the guy? Just get your hands up. Hey, if he knocks it down, he knocks it down. I mean, why are you all up in his grill?
With his size, he really surprises me. He plays bigger than he is, and he's multi-talented. I mean, he can go outside, but he guards pretty well. But it just cut down the fouling a little bit, but no, I think there's a lot of potential, a lot of prospect for the Thunder this year, and hopefully now we start trying to win all of our games, man.
Thank you for that. I was telling people that, dude, we were not trying to win, and we were only one game away from being having the eighth pick. But one game. But like I tell people, the problem with the Thunder is every time we've tried to lose to do something, it just doesn't work. We're not like San Antonio. They've tried to lose 3 times. They got Duncan, they got Robinson, and they got Wembanyama. The only 3 times they tried to lose, they got the number 1 overall pick.
Crazy.
The Thunder try to lose. We win games we're not supposed to. Playing, yeah, it's just we don't need to try to lose. We're just try to win
Well,
and let the chips fall.
you and I come from that old school to where you put your best players out there all the time,
And
and
let
you
them play.
play the best players, and you play to win.
Yes.
And some of the when the politics and all that starts coming into play, they kind of lose me a little
Yeah,
bit.
I agree.
But
Now, what do you think
you know.
about Poku not playing for Serbia? He said he's not playing.
Yeah, I don't know.
I saw that. I'm like, okay, so you're trying. I think he sees the writing on the wall with what the Thunder have. Dude, we
Yeah,
got some young talent, and the thing we needed to upgrade on is defensively.
yeah.
And I think that, and
We
like
need who's our rim protector?
Poku and J Dub,
Yeah, I
J
mean
Will. I'm sorry, J Will.
yeah, you've got to have a rim protector,
Yeah.
and you know. So
Well,
we'll see, but
Our
I'm
guy,
excited.
one of our guys, he's not going to be on today. His wife has been sick, so he's been doing the doctor thing with her. But he was telling me that he came up with he said the Thunder are going to do what with Poku. I mean, not Poku, but with Chet, which what they did with Ibaka. They had Kendrick Perkins, and then
Right.
Ibaka was the wing, the guy coming off the backside to block shots to protect the middle. And then when Kendrick left, having Ibaka there, we didn't do so well. Then all of a sudden we get Steven Adams, and guess what? Boom, he goes right back to that forward and blocking shots. So we think that he's going to do the same thing with Jay Will, play them a lot together. And you saw that in the Summer League where they're playing together. Jay Will takes the center, Poku takes the forward, and then that helps a lot. But with the wing or with blocking shots. But I think we're going to be a
Yeah.
lot better with McConnell
Yeah.
and with what we got defensively. I think we're going to be a lot better. The question to me is, our coach is a great developer of young talent.
Right.
Now the question is, are you just like what was our guy's name? The great developer in baseball, Buck Showalter. He's great
Okay.
at developing
Yeah.
players,
Yeah.
but he's not very good once they get there to get them to the next level. So I'm hoping that this guy can now make the transition from, hey, I can help you get there. Now that you're there, now let me help you go to the next level. So
Mhm.
we shall see how
We should
we
a
shall see how
lot of
that's going.
possibilities and all, but I want to go back to something you said. Every
Uh-huh.
time this comes up, it makes me think. And I know here in a minute we're going to talk about this Hall of Fame thing, but
Uh-huh.
I want to. So when you mentioned Kendrick Perkins,
Yeah.
kind of a trivia question for you. Do you know who his father played for?
Perkins?
Uh huh.
You mean in college?
Right.
No, I would assume it's your dad
It
since you
is.
threw that
It
out.
is.
Now
Yes.
was that at
I'm
Lamar?
yeah. So Kendrick played for Beaumont Ozan High School, which was
Yes, he
Beaumont
is from
Charlton
Beaumont.
Pollard
Yep.
when I was in high school.
Yep.
But his father, Kenneth Perkins, was from obviously was from Beaumont,
Uh-huh.
and out of high school he signed with Baylor, and went there and maybe stayed a semester or two and transferred back to Lamar, but he was a great player at Lamar, and so every time I hear Kendrick, I've known Kendrick Perkins since he was in junior high
Yes.
school, and
Was he that
so
big then though?
no, he wasn't. Like most kids, he developed
Okay.
and obviously, but by the time he was a junior in high school, one of my old high school rivals, Andre Boutte, down in Beaumont, was his high school coach. And but no, everybody in the country wanted him coming out of high school, and obviously he went straight to the NBA.
Hmm.
But I
Yes.
love his analysis. He does a great job.
Great
I think
job.
I think he may be, for as intimidating of defender and player as he was, I think he's a better commentator.
Yeah. The thing I like about him, like you said, he tells it like it is, and you can't get mad because it doesn't
The
matter whether
truth.
it's the truth, and you know it. If he's talking about your team, you know that you may not like it, but he is right on point with what's happening.
He's not afraid to say it.
No,
He's big enough
he's
to
not.
defend it.
Nobody's
So
going to argue with him. That's for sure.
no, but
Hey,
I love his takes. I mean, they're
yeah,
they're straight from the heart, and like you said, he doesn't pull any punches. He just calls it like it
yeah.
is.
Well, you know what's
Maybe we need to try to get him on your show, and you could do a whole NBA show.
Oh yeah, that would be interesting. The question is, would Kendrick come on? I mean, I'm like a little
Well, I
Oklahoma
don't know why.
peon,
Don't
so
know why he
I
wouldn't.
would love him to come on and we could discuss and get breakdown and see what his thoughts on my analogies on how I do things. But you know what's so funny, Tommy, is that when I look at the Thunder, they remind me of Billy's teams when they would score a bunch of points. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Defensively, they were better than what you thought they were. Because in
Right.
order to score points, you got to be able to you got to have some turnovers. You can't just score a
That's
bunch of
right.
points by not
Yeah.
getting any turn. You got to get some steals. Do you think that what did what did your dad do defensively? How did he make adjustments to make sure he still scored? Because we've got scores between
Hmm.
SGA, Josh, J Dub. We can score. But
Right.
what did he do defensively? Did he get better on the wings? What did he do that could make those guys better defensively, but still yet not take away from being able to score 100 points a game?
Yeah. So I think that's the great deception, that, and I've had the opportunity in the last 2 or 3 weeks, Matt, to talk to a lot of former coaches and players, and a lot of this conversation came up was, on the defensive end is what created so many of the points, and it created a higher field goal percentage. So, if you remember in our time when we played, there wasn't a 3-point line.
No, there wasn't.
My last season, 84-85 season, was the last year without the 3-point line. And so, but with the 3-point line where it is in the NBA, it just, it stretches everything out. But like you said, the Thunder can score. And the way that they get better is they've got to get better on the defensive end. And what my dad, in our philosophy, the guards really had to put a lot of pressure. And it started at on the front. That's why we pressed. We didn't want a guy. Now, the difference in college, I mean, obviously there's a lot, but one of the differences, the big difference is, in the NBA there's 82 games. You
Yes.
you can't get a guy. The NBA teams, you're not going to see them press because it'd wear them out. They just couldn't do it. Where in college, if you make it all the way to the Final Four in the national championship game, you're going to play maybe 40. So about half of those games. But we did one thing that I can still hear my dad today. He didn't want, and you remember being in games like this where if you're not pressing or you're not playing the whole court, you're just playing half court. It's pretty easy for, let's say your team scores, but you're running back on defense, and whoever's inbounding the ball, they get it out of the net and they're able to throw it. And the point guard's able to walk it up the court and look over at his coach and call a play. We didn't want a guard to be that comfortable. We wanted them to be pressure to where they can't, they're on guard all the time. And through the course of a 40-minute game, it kind of wears them down. And so you're looking for turnovers. You're looking for you're playing passing lanes, and you're fronting the post, but a lot of fundamentals were taught. And I think this coach that the Thunder has, Dagnall, I think he does a good job. And but there's times, a lot of it. You said this earlier. There's talk, but you got to get out and play. The guys have to go out and do it. And this as a player. You got to take pride on the defensive end and not let your man beat you. You got to have good technique. And if you watch some of these games, do you remember? I'm sure when you were playing, Matt, on the defensive end and man to man, that was a challenge for you to defend your man and not let him score. And you had principles that you had to maintain. But gosh, if you're watching games today, so many of those principles that we played by have been broken. I mean, the guys, you never trail your man to the basket. Always keep your triangle where you're seeing the ball and man. For the Thunder, on the way to get better and to win games, they can score. They've got to get better on the defensive end, and that's why I asked the question to you on who's their rim protector.
Right. Well, yes.
You've got to be able to defend the basket, and the other thing is you've got to be dominant on the glass. You've got to be able to rebound, not only offensively but defensively. So if you're letting the other team score and you're getting it out of the net, you're in trouble.
You're in a lot of trouble. There's no question. And that was the thing that, like, when we played against you guys, when we had Wayman, when you guys had Wayman and stuff,
Yeah,
I mean, we played
yeah,
against you guys. It was a dogfight. I mean, it was like we're both D'ing up, but we're both scoring. At that point, we were
yeah.
averaging 80 points a game with no 3-point line.
That's
And
right.
it was no joke. But the whole thing is defensively, you know, I took pride in my defense. I'm like, you
That's
ain't
right.
scoring on me. And I had to guard Chucky Barnett, and Chucky could score.
Yeah, he could put
Chucky could
pressure
go.
on you on the offensive
Yes.
end. Yeah.
Now defensively, he kind of let me do what I wanted to do.
Yep. Yep.
Sorry,
Yep.
Chucky, but you know what I'm
Yep.
saying, Tommy. You know what I'm saying.
That's
I
right.
mean,
Yeah.
he wasn't the best defensive player, but what he's going to get you offensively, you could overlook that. So
That's right.
now, how do you think your dad would feel about watching today's game and how it's just 3 point? I mean, it's just go down, score. It's not a lot of defense. It's just scoring. How do you think he would
Yeah.
look at today's game?
Yeah. So I think Matt, and this is now we're talking about the college game at this point, right?
Yes, yes,
I just don't. I mean, this is my own personal, and this is what I think. I'm going to try to answer your question as best I can, because my dad always had a different opinion about things, and he would kind of like Big Perk. He'd give it to you, but it to me in the college game today, part of the reason I think that they struggle offensively and the scores are coming down, I don't think the kids are as skilled on the offensive end
I
as
agree.
what maybe in our day. But what I have to be careful, Matt, is when we were playing and guys our age would go, "Oh, the game's different. It was played different at our age." And we looked at those guys and going, "God, they're old. They don't know what they're talking about." And that may be what the kids today
There's no doubt.
think about us. But when we're think about this, I mean, in the '80s and the '90s and in the early 2000s, you got 10 players on the floor. 5 on each team, and you probably had 6 or 7 guys on the floor that could really score the ball.
Yep, both sides.
And
Yes.
now you when you watch a game, you've probably got 3 or 4 guys that might be able to score it consistently, and that's the biggest problem today. I think is the consistency. And I'm going to kind of get into this area, and if I go in the deep end, pull me back. But one thing in our day that's different today, Matt, is there was a lot of continuity on the teams.
Yes.
Your teams and my teams and the other good teams out there had been together for a while. You had a guy he'd come in his freshman year, and it might have been a little rough around the edges, and with the exception of somebody like Wayman, that was really talented. But you'd have guys that would develop, and you knew they were going to be better in the second semester than the first.
Yes.
And then you knew coming back their sophomore year, they should be a better player because now in today's game, guys go in and they're gone. I mean, they're gone in a year. They jump in this portal, so the continuity's gone. I know at Oklahoma right now, Coach Mosier's dealing with 8 new players. It's all going to be dependent on how quickly he can mold those guys, and we're seeing around the country, points are dropping off, and it's just kind of, I don't know, it's like free agency, and I think it's hurt the game.
Mm-hmm.
You can't fault the kid,
No.
but it's this NIL. I'm trying to wrap my head around it. I mean, it's the numbers that I'm hearing out there are crazy, but what would my dad do? I think, he recruited players, Matt, that were skilled. I mean, he could walk in a gym, and that was one of his talents. And most coaches are this way. They can walk in a gym and tell who the kid is that everybody's there looking at.
Mm-hmm.
But he had an ability to, really, and I've seen this in this Hall of Fame run that, I've talked to so many people in the last 3 weeks that, and we'll get into that in a minute, but the things that the players and the former players and opposing players, I talked to Norm Stewart 3 times last week, and the stories that he shared that I always wondered and I always kind of thought what my dad might be thinking kind of came true. I mean, it was, and all good coaches do that. You played for Paul Hansen, and Paul had been around a long time. But he let you guys play. He knew
Yep.
what Matt Clark's strength was. He knew what Eddie Hannon's strengths were. He knew what Leroy Combs' strengths were, and let you guys play to that.
Yep.
And today, there's so many high ball screens that are out on the perimeter, and you've got your 6'10" guy setting a ball screen at the top of the key. He's probably not going to see it again unless he's getting a rebound.
Yep. Or if he can shoot it. If he can shoot it, then he's going to pick and pop and shoot the 3. But other than that, I agree. If he rolls to the basket, the chances of him getting it are slim.
Yeah, but that's what we've been talking about the NBA. But when you watch a guy now like Joker, and you're seeing a guy that's 7 foot tall shooting 3 pointers. I mean, what people don't talk about is his technique. Can you imagine guarding that guy? It'd be like trying to guard Larry Bird when, because of their form and they're putting their ball back behind their head, you're not going to block that shot.
Yeah, no, not unless you're coming from behind. You'd have to block
Yeah,
it
and
from behind.
if you're up close to them and in their face, you're gonna foul them.
Yep.
So and in today's NBA, everything's a foul.
Well, you know what though? I was saying something to somebody the other day. I said, to talk about your point earlier, I was like, it's not to whether those guys back in the day could play today, because Larry Bird and them would kill these guys. You can't foul them, you can't grab them, you can't hold them, you can't push them, you can't be physical. They would kill these guys today. Yes, they would kill these guys today. And I said, to me, the question is, can guys today play back then when it was physical? Can you still do what you did in any era? To me, this is what I say. Tommy, the greatest of all time means one thing to me. Can you do what you did in any era? And LeBron is not going to score the points he did trying to run down the lane and be all physical like a freight train, because they're going to take him out. They're going to put him in the stands. They're not going to let him just go down.
The Detroit Pistons are taking you out.
Oh, that's not happening. He's not going to play for 20 years. And the reason why Kareem played for so long is because he never really, and he had the skyhook, and he's shooting from the paint. I mean, right outside the paint. He's not going to be physical in there getting beat up. I said, so to me, it's really simple. Like, to me, Tom Brady, I love what Tom did. He's a very good quarterback. But to me, the greatest of all time, Tom Brady would not be 45 years old playing in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. It's not happening. Like
Mind change, Matty. What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up, Ben? As I got Ben Dillman, High Stick.
Hello, Ben.
But
How's it going, Tom?
What I was saying is that, what's our guy's name that played for Dallas Cowboys defensive end, Charles Haley. He goes, if Tom played back in the day when I played, he says, I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm going to take the 1.5, 2 more steps, and I'm going to plant him. Okay. And I'm going to take my 15 yards and move on down the road. And he goes, there's a lot of other guys who feel just like me. And he goes, he's not going to be 45 playing back then. He goes, how many quarterbacks do you know of made it past 35 back when we played? What happened? Tom Brady's not getting all those accolades and not doing all that. So to me, the greatest of all time means one thing. Can you do what you did in any era?
Right. Yeah, Bill Laimbeer's not going to let LeBron come through the paint.
No, that's what we're talking about. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen.
Kevin McHale's not going to allow that. I'm sorry.
And
the old Bulls aren't going to allow it.
Yeah, but it's so funny. It's not I got an argument with the guys at the barbershop. Okay, you're going to love it. They go, man, Larry Bird, man, he could not play in today's game. He's a slow white dude. I said, man, I can't even. You know what I'm saying, Tom? I said, I can't even tell you guys. He would.
I go back to, and I watch this every now and then. Speaking of that, what kind of your point is when Nolan Richardson gets into the Hall of Fame and he's doing his talk. Larry Bird was
great
there,
show.
and he's talking about he's out in El Paso and he's listening to the radio saying Bird this, Bird that, Bird this. One thing Larry Bird could do, not only was he a shooter, he was a maker.
Yep. Yep, he was.
But
you know, I heard he
talked some good. Different time.
Yeah, heard he talked some good spit out there too. Heard he's a little ambitious, but he said a lot of times.
But the whole thing is, it's not bragging if you can back it up, and that's all I know
exactly.
about
that.
That's all I know.
Like that's how I played. And whenever I got I'm obviously not basketball, but I'm saying like whenever I played hockey, if I was going mentally, verbally, all that stuff, I would, it kind of got me to the next level. That's like when I got in the head, I was like, okay, got him now. Here we go.
That's right.
You know what though? But okay, so your dad, you bring Billy Ball to the college hoops hall. First of all, I love that. Did you make that up, or was that the wife?
No, I got to give all the credit to Ann.
We got to give Ann some love.
She's our marketing genius. That's right.
I had to throw her in there. I had to throw Ann Evenson in there. You know that. I had to throw Mama in there. But anyway, so now what have you been doing to try to get that in, and what is the? I mean, because to me, when I saw this, I'm going, why isn't he already in there? And I've had several people, when I brought it up, they're like, why is he already in the Hall of Fame? I go, no, he's not, clearly, or Tommy wouldn't be doing this. But how is he not in the Hall of Fame? already?
No, sir. No, not in. So I'll give you the bullet points here on
Okay.
it. So there's two Hall of Fames. The one that Coach Sutton recently went in was the Naismith Hall of Fame,
Right.
and that's in Springfield, Massachusetts, and it's the older one, and it's for international players and people, and it's for high school and college, and it's by far the oldest one, and but in 2006, the National Collegiate Basketball Hall of Fame in Kansas City was founded, and it was specifically for college players and coaches and people of the college game. And it's actually located in the Sprint Center in Kansas City, and there's a game that goes along with it. And
Okay. What?
so
But Tommy, I've been in the Sprint Center. Where is it? Because
I went the year it opened, and then we went back. My dad and I went in 2009 when Wayman was inducted. Unfortunately, Wayman didn't live long enough to make it to the induction ceremony, but so here's kind of so the Collegiate Basketball Hall of Fame in Kansas City it's really kind of, I may say this wrong, but it's not necessarily owned, but it's kind of managed by the NABC, which the NABC is the National Association of Basketball Coaches. And my dad was a member of that organization, Matt, for almost 56 years. And so Craig Robinson, who was the coach at Oregon State, but he's Michelle Obama's brother.
Right, I know he is. Yes,
is the president of the NABC, and so the NABC is kind of a governing body over the National Collegiate Basketball Hall of Fame, which now is kind of, I don't know if they've kind of separated a little bit or what, but so here's what I've been doing. You and I, Matt. Gosh, we're getting a little older.
Yes,
and it's obviously my dad, I've been just sitting around wondering and thinking and going, why has he not been in it? Well, you have to be nominated. Somebody actually has to pick up the phone and like any other thing and say, hey, we want to nominate Billy. And so I started doing my investigation and how do you do this? And so I started making phone calls, and I was able to get through to the assistant for Craig Robinson, and he kind of guided me a little bit. And Coach Kruger, Lon Kruger, and Roy Williams were both inducted last year.
Wait a minute, whoa! Well, but Lon his record's pretty impressive. 4 different teams that haul to the Final Four. That's him and Sutton were that. That's impressive.
And so this year their class is Mike Krzyzewski, Tyler Hansbrough from North Carolina, Johnny Dawkins that played at Duke, and a high school coach, like a shooting coach from maybe Pittsburgh or somewhere. So all I'm trying to do is promote my dad and the former players.
Is this in the collegiate or in the Naismith?
This is in the collegiate.
Okay.
And so they have a nominating process, and so we've already missed the class for this year.
Okay.
And so we're really shooting for 2024, but their meeting is in August, which today's July 31st. This is the last day. Basically, what I did is I just got on the phone and started. I talked to Norm Stewart. Was great, man. I hadn't talked to Coach Stewart, in probably 20 years, and I wasn't really sure. One of his longtime assistant coaches, Kim Anderson.
Yeah, I remember Kim real well.
Yeah,
he used to try to grab me. He used to try to grab me every time I went by the bench. He'd grab me, man, leave me alone, man. What are you doing?
Yeah, and he's a great guy. He was a longtime assistant there, and then he actually became head coach at Missouri. But when I got a hold of Coach Stewart, it was actually about 2 weeks ago, and he asked me, he had that same old voice. I mean, you'd recognize it right off, and he asked me, he said, do you go by Tom or Tommy? And I said, gosh, Coach, I'll go by whatever you call
whatever
me.
You want.
And he said, he just started in. He said, let me tell you some stories about your father. And I mean, he went on. We laughed. I mean, good belly laughs for 30 minutes. And, but he talked about, one of the things he talked about the differences in, kind of today's game and back in those days. He just said, coaches back then could get away and do a lot of different things than what coaches today can. It was a different time with media. And But for an example, he said, if it was, we knew, and Matt, you think back when we were playing, the only times the games were on mostly on the weekends,
Yes.
Raycom. There weren't in the early '80s. There weren't many games that were nationally televised. There would be regional television, but not
National, yeah.
national. Like today, there's several games on every night. But he said, we knew if it's a televised game, we're getting an extra TV timeout. If it was a non-televised game, we had our 3 timeouts a half, and that was it. And he said, but we would create if our team wasn't playing well, we'd create a commotion, and we'd get stoppage of the game in front of our bench. And he said this one particular game, he said we're playing in Columbia, and he said we're ranked number 1 in the nation, and he said your dad's team was number 3, and I just had to stop right there and go, think of the magnitude of what you just said.
Uh-huh.
And we're talking the country. We're not talking about,
The
why couldn't the Big Eight be the best? And that's what everybody strived to do. And that's what we did. Matt, you were a huge part of that in the 80s and the 90s. But he said, so your dad, he said, Billy's down there in front of his bench. He's got the referees and the teams are all down there. And he said, I get up off my bench and I walk to half court. And I said, hey, are we going to play basketball? Or are we going to have a damn conference down there? And he said, your dad pulled out of that timeout, and he mumbled at me something, and he said, what did you say? And Billy said it back to him, and he said, but we go in at halftime, and he said, we come back in the second half, and we win a close one in the end. And he said, we're in the handshake line, and he said, coaches kind of today are kind of like ships passing in the night.
Yes.
They don't even hardly communicate, or they don't really talk like we did. And he said, but I pulled your dad over, and I said, Billy, do you remember what you said to me in the first half? And he said, yeah. And he said, well, now it's my turn. And he repeated the word back to him. And they went their own ways. And then they were on the phone the next day. And so, but he told one great story after the next, but he told me, he said, I didn't realize your dad wasn't in the Hall of Fame. He said, I'm all in.
Yeah. I didn't either, bro.
I'm going to make phone calls, and I'm going to get this done. And then I talked to, of course, Lon Kruger and Porter Mosier, and Kelvin Sampson was awesome. I mean, he wrote just an incredible, he wrote an incredible letter. I talked to Alvin Brooks, the coach at Lamar. What people don't realize is, when my dad in the 80s, in 76 to 80, when he was at Lamar prior to coming to Oklahoma, Matt, Alvin Brooks was his point guard that got him to the Sweet 16. They beat number 5 ranked Oregon State that year that had big Steve Johnson.
Yeah, I know that's – well, see, I committed to Oregon State originally coming out of high school to play with Steve Johnson.
Wow. You were just going to go play for Orange and Black.
Yeah, I had Orange and Black. OSU and Orange and Black. But that's a true story that I committed to for Oregon State, verbally leaving there, and I left Corvallis at 7:30 in the morning, and I didn't get home until 12 o'clock.
Yeah, so Ralph Miller was the coach, right?
Ralph Miller was the coach, yes, sir.
Yeah, so that's funny, but Alvin Brooks, who's the head coach at Lamar today, was my dad's starting point guard.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And so I stay in touch with Alvin. He was a longtime coach with Kelvin and was the head coach at Houston. But just the stories, and I talked to Kurt Thomas last week. Kurt Thomas is the last player in NCAA basketball history to lead the nation in rebounding and scoring and rebounding in the same season. Do you know who the other two are?
At TCU.
So my dad's first year at TCU in 1994-95 season, he just happened to have on that team a 6'10" kid by the name of Kurt Thomas. And Kurt was kind of ornery. He had the year before in Mo Iba's last season, Kurt scored his breakout game was he scored 40 points in a game at Indiana.
Wow.
And didn't really do much the rest of the year. And these are Kurt's words, not mine, but Kurt ended up, so there's only been 3 players in the history of college basketball. And LaSalle had a player, and I just blanked on his name. The other was Hank Gathers, and then Kurt Thomas.
LaSalle, would that be somebody older, you think?
I'm sorry, not LaSalle. It was Xavier McDaniel.
At Wichita State. Okay, God, he was.
And then there's the fourth. There's a fourth player that led the nation in two major categories, and that's Trey Young. He led the nation in scoring and assist. And so there's only four guys. So I'm talking with Kirk Thomas last week, who only went on to play in the NBA for 18 seasons.
Yeah, he was there for a minute. But back then, though, if you're a big guy and you could rebound, score a little bit, you could do that. Nowadays, you can't. You're not going to stay there that long in the NBA if that's what you do now.
Yeah, and he wasn't. Kurt was a. I talked to Stacey King. Stacey wrote an incredible letter, but Stacey and Kurt were actually teammates one year in Chicago, and that's Stacey said he was one of the greatest teammates he ever had.
Yes.
And then I had Anthony Bowie.
Hey, I just saw him.
Yeah, well, he stayed with me here in Oklahoma City the week before y'all, and I wasn't able to come over Monday because I had to take care of my mom.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and but Bowie stayed with me for a week, and Matt, we played golf every day. He's really good at golf.
Yeah, he's really good. He's really good. Yeah, with him and his big old huge hat that he wears on. I'm like, are you in the Army? Why do you have that thing wrapped around your with the string hanging out? What is that, dude?
But I have to tell you this in this journey that I've been on. And I find what happened with me is, instead of being that grumpy old man, I thought, you know what, I'm going to take this in my own hands. I'm going to get on the phone and start calling people, and I'm going to get some interest. And I'm one way or the other, I'm getting my dad in the College Basketball Hall of Fame. My mom's going to be 89 next month. I would love for her to witness it happening, but it's been very humbling. It's been exhilarating from the people that I've talked to and the good things they've said about my dad and his teams. And, you know, it's just when I look back, what I learned is, and Matt, I think you could say this about some of your coaches that you've had, whether it was in youth basketball or high school, junior high school, but it's amazing the impact that a coach has on a player.
Yep. In any sport.
But it's also amazing the impact that player has on a coach and their family.
Yes. Agreed.
It's a lifetime friendship.
Well, you know, when I saw this, you know, I reached out to you, hey, how can I help? What can I do? And so it was so funny is when we played OU in Stillwater, and I forget where we were ranked. I mean, we were right there together. This is 83.
Yep.
And I'm playing, and I've got 100-degree fever. And I shouldn't even been on the court. I shouldn't have been in there. And so I shoot this air ball, and your dad is just laughing and joking and just talking trash about me. And Chucky and him looked over, and they said something to him, and he looked at me like, what? And so when we were coming over to take the ball, he goes, what in the, you know how he starts using language.
Yeah.
And he goes, what in the bleeping are you doing? Get your blah, blah, blah. He goes, this is just a game. What is wrong with you? This is your life. Are you out of your mind? And I looked at him and said, Coach, I can't lose to OU. He looked at me like, have you lost your damn mind? He was so mad at me. And
Ben, I don't know how well you know Matt, but he's one big time competitor, man.
Yeah, no, my dad told me. My dad used to watch him.
Yeah,
so my dad knows everything. My dad was at OSU whenever he was, so I hear all these stories, especially like from my wedding. They got to meet there.
Yes,
speaking of like coaching, you know, like you said, lifetime bonds and stuff like that. My coach that taught me how to skate all the way from when I was 5, and then I ended up 18 with him playing my final year. I moved back home, played my last year with him. We ended up winning 2 national championships.
Hockey, by the way,
Mike
Tommy,
McEwen.
hockey.
Mike McEwen. He won 3 Stanley Cups for the New York Islanders. And so, like you said, and it was cool. I hadn't seen him in years, and I gave him a voicemail, and I was like, just show up at this location. He shows up with a bottle of maple syrup from the Canadian Fair and says it'll be the best maple syrup you ever have. And then we just sat and talked, like you said, and belly laughed for hours. And all my buddies were there, all the guys that he coached. It was awesome. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
And Matty got to meet him there too, so that was good.
Well, thanks to, you know how basketball teams are in their season, if they, you know, for whatever reason they don't make the NCAA tournament, and they go to the NIT, and they, you know, they kind of fumble around the first couple of games because their feelings are hurt. But then if they're fortunate enough to make it to, you know, now it's not played at Madison Square Garden anymore, but
man, that would have been fantastic.
we were and you're a hockey guy, so you'll appreciate this story, but we're in New York City for the NIT, and our business manager, Mike Clopton, gets us tickets to the Islanders and Ranger game.
Oh, yes.
And there were more fights
in
the stands. There were more fights in the stands than on the ice. It was great.
Well, see, naturally, you'd be one of them fight guys. See, Tommy, you're into that deal. You fight
Well,
guys. Y'all wear me out
well,
there.
Matt, if you've never been to a hockey game in Madison Square Garden, you have to go. And the tickets were sold out. And Mike Clopton got us tickets. We were in the top level of Madison Square Garden with the wall to our back, so I felt safe.
Oh,
Nobody
yes,
was
you
behind
did.
me. But no, it's those bonds and those relationships. And as we get older, I think back, and I think I shared this with you, Matt, the last time we talked. But this was a conversation I had with Wayman, obviously prior to him passing. But he was telling me, he said the greatest times that he had with basketball were in college. And he said some really nice things to me about my dad. And he just said when he went to the NBA, it was a game, or it was business.
It's work.
Every day was
It's
a
work.
job. And that's really when he really upgraded his music, because that's what his enjoyment was. It's how he was able to relax. And so what I see today with this portal and with the NIL, these kids aren't really having the college experience that we had.
No.
And the bonds and the things that we built with, it was you went through trials and tribulations. If you didn't succeed your freshman year, you just sucked it up and worked harder and came back your sophomore year and said, "Damn it, I'm going to play."
Yeah.
Yep. The loyalty.
The loyalty. That's right.
Well, but this is how I look at it, Tommy. This is what I tell people. I said, to me, they should have to go for 2 years minimum to college. 2 years.
Yes.
Basketball, minimum 2 years, okay?
Yeah.
And the second thing is, to me, with the transfer portal is really simple. You get one time to go anywhere the hell you want. If you want to transfer, you get 1 year because the coach lied to you, whatever, okay?
Coach left, something happened.
Whatever.
You get
whatever. Yeah. You get 1 year to go. After that, if you want to leave, you got to sit out a year. That will cut all that nonsense out, because now you got to sit out a whole year, so it's not going to benefit you to go. These guys going from 4 teams in 4 different schools and I'm like, how many years have you been in the school? I mean, my God, weren't you just at USC?
Tommy, I'm with you there on that whole thing where you're like, okay, like, hey, like we're going to come back next year and we're going to kick their butts. You know what I mean? Like,
But Ben, I'm gonna say this.
You
we're
had
going to get
something
stronger
to
all
prove.
summer.
But I'm gonna say this.
It's changed.
Go ahead.
I just watched this past weekend. I just watched a video, and and I would highly recommend and suggest you just take a look at it if you get a chance. But it's Tubby Smith, and he's given an example of when he went to college his freshman year, and he called his dad and said, "I'm leaving here. I'm coming home." And his dad basically said,
"No, you're not.
Are you still on scholarship?" And he said, "Yeah." And he said, "Are they feeding you?" "Yeah." "Are you still on the team?" "Yeah."
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, "You're not coming here because your bed's been given away to somebody else." And so he said that your next move, you can go sign up for the Army.
Yeah. I mean, you're not coming home.
And that's how things used to be. That's you sucked it up
definitely.
and got better.
But you know what,
I feel like that.
But you know what,
kind
Tommy?
of it's bouncing off into society a little bit to where people are just getting a little. I mean, not like nothing, but people are kind of changing. Everything's kind of changing.
This is my thing. Though.
As my dad would say, we're so much softer.
Soft.
Today.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Soft. But I'm gonna say this. Yeah. This is the problem. It starts in AAU, and these kids get whatever they want. And not so much, I don't know about hockey being, but in basketball, these kids get whatever they want. They don't. All they want you to do is shoot threes and score. You don't have to have any fundamentals. You don't have to do it. If you could just shoot the basketball, hey, they're all about it. They use very few of them can use either hand. They shoot the right hand floater or teardrop no matter where they are on the court. I'm like, do you have a left hand? How about using your left hand? How about looking at Damian Lillard? How about looking at Steph Curry? How about looking at SGA? How about looking at all these guys who are really, really good in the NBA? Guess what? They can score either hand. And it just drives me nuts.
Let me share something and this goes to your point, Matt, and a guy that I didn't mention earlier, but a conversation that I had with the legendary Coach Ted Owens. Coach Owens played at Oklahoma, but he was a head coach at Kansas for 20 years. And he was telling me, he was talking about AAU and how things were, in the early to mid 70s. He said when we would go recruit a player, we'd recruit mom, we'd recruit dad,
everybody.
We'd recruit we'd recruit the high school coach, and sometimes maybe a girlfriend or somebody. But now in today's world, you've got to recruit Good grief, you got to recruit all the AAU coaches and all the. I mean,
Yep.
it,
You
in
have a
today's
pipeline.
in the pipeline, and now today's world, they want to know how much they're going to get paid in the NIL right off the bat.
They want to know
You know,
middle school. Yeah.
yeah. How much am I going to make when I come play for you? Well, you know what? We played for the love of the game, and so there's just been a lot of changes. But man, back to this Hall of Fame
Yep.
thing, I'm really hopeful. I know in my heart that I have given it everything I've got. Most every coach that I've encountered has said, we thought Billy was already in. We didn't
Yes.
realize he wasn't in. He has all the credentials.
No doubt.
He should be in, and so it's a reflection of that time of our life, of the Big 8 conference in the '80s and the '90s, and the players and the staff and our opponents. As I did my history on it, Johnny Orr, that was a great coach at Iowa State, is not
Yes.
in.
They used to play that
Jack Hart,
song. Here's Johnny.
yeah, here's Johnny. Jack Hartman, who was at K State, Matt, when you were playing at K State.
Yes.
He's not. That was Coach Kruger's coach.
Wait. What?
He's not in the Hall of Fame.
Jack Hartman.
Ted Owens just celebrated his 94th birthday a couple of weeks ago. He's not in the College Basketball Hall of Fame.
Who the hell is in the College Basketball Hall of Fame?
So that's my passion and my goal going forward is what can I do positively to help the game of college basketball? And it's to honor some of these people that were legendary, Matt, in our lives. When we were playing, I mean, think of how great. Just take yourself back to 1982, 83. You're at Oklahoma State. And how great the Big 8 conference was then. 83. You're at Oklahoma State.
Yeah, go ahead.
And how great the Big 8 conference was then. And you are getting ready to play K-State at K-State and old Ahern Fieldhouse. Getting ready to. Or you're going to Lawrence, or you're going to Columbia, Missouri, or you're going to Norman, Oklahoma. And that time at Oklahoma was college basketball's homecoming game.
Yeah.
And so we lived in a great era that, a lot of the bias in these Hall of Fames are very strongly associated to the East Coast. But us people that are west of the Mississippi know a little bit about basketball as well.
Just a little bit. So what can we do to help you, or is there anything we can do, or if anybody can do, can they reach out to you? Do you want to, what can we do to help facilitate this, or what do you need people to do?
Yes, so here's well, I appreciate it. Here's where we are right now. So I've submitted some letters of nomination. Now I'm waiting to hear back from the National Collegiate Basketball Hall of Fame. They're going to meet sometime in August, and they will discuss my dad. And this is just the nomination process to put him on the ballot. They have what's called a blue ribbon selection panel. And if he makes it to the ballot, they will vote. And so right now, I've done everything that they've asked me to do. But if you wanted to call or even have on your show, Matt, is a gentleman by the name of Kevin Henderson. Okay. He is the CEO of the National Collegiate Basketball Hall of Fame in Kansas City, and I can get you his information.
Yeah, would you? And then that way I can
absolutely.
That,
yes. Yeah, that would help because it's basically just awareness. We're, my dad had, like I said, he was a member of the NABC for just short of 56 years.
That's crazy.
Yes, and then so let me give you a couple of stats about my dad that a lot of people didn't realize is that he was a college basketball coach for 60 years.
That long?
31 of those seasons he was a head coach. So he won 641 games, which averages out to just over 20 wins a season for 31 years. And those are at programs at Lamar. At Oklahoma, where they won 9 games in the first season.
Yes.
His first year at TCU, in the 2 previous seasons they won 13 games, and his first year there they won 16. But it's just phenomenal because Matt, when you and I were born, my dad was already he had been a coach for several years when I was born. So 60 years is
that's crazy, dude.
Was in college coaching.
Well,
and he saw times, and so let me share this because this is is a touchy subject that a lot of people don't talk about, but I would like to reflect on it because it was a part of my life. My sister and I were very fortunate to have the parents that we did that taught us at an early age, you treat everyone the same.
Yep.
It did not matter their religion. It didn't matter their skin color. It didn't matter if they were male or female. It didn't matter if they were the CEO or the janitor. You treated everyone the same. But when my dad was he played at Lamar in the early 50s, like 1954, 50, 53, 54 was his senior year. But when he became an assistant at Lamar Tech, they would travel and in their buses, they didn't fly a lot to those games, but restaurants in those days, Matt, didn't feed all players.
Oh, believe me, I know.
And if you had a minority player on your team, my dad was the coach when they pulled up at a restaurant, would go, can our team eat here? And if they wouldn't accept everyone, that bus didn't stop.
Yeah.
And so
yeah.
you fed us all, or you don't feed any of us.
It's
So,
a hard deal.
Yeah, I'm because those Lamar teams, one of the most favorite pictures that I have is I was probably 6 or 7 years old, and it's a pregame talk at Lamar, and I'm sitting on the first row in the locker room. Those were my idols before Dr. J or Michael Jordan. I mean, those were my heroes.
Yeah.
And then, to be able to have conversation with Dr. J and Larry Bird, my dad served on the Converse team with them for over 20 years. And, to have guys like that come up and say to my dad, I wish I'd have played for you. And the reason is they said, Wilt Chamberlain walked up to my dad when we were at the College Basketball Hall of Fame one year. Wilt Chamberlain walked up to my dad and he said, Coach, I wish I'd have played for you. And my dad goes, what in the world could I have done for you? You averaged 50 points a game.
Hey, 60? You gave him at least 10 more.
60, that's right.
He got 10 more out of it. That's what it was. That's why.
But so that's my passion, is to, one, promote college basketball in a positive way, best way, because it's been such a big part of my family's life. Matt, I'd have never met you had it not been for my dad and college basketball. And, there's so many great people out there. And Ben, I know you can think of your teammates and what strong bond you had with them.
Oh, of course.
Athletics teaches you a lot about how life's going to be.
Adversity. I think that's a big thing. Like you were going back to talking about for people moving around for the NIL and stuff, all that, and transfer portal and all of that. I think that, it's adversity kind of teaches you something every once in a while.
Yeah. And so what really got me going on this thing in the last several months is Brent Price. Is being inducted into the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame on August the 7th. And
Brent Price.
Excellent.
Brent will only be the fourth Oklahoma Sooner to be inducted into the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame as a basketball player.
Wait a minute. I like Brent, but you're putting Brent Price in the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame in front of some guys who aren't in the Hall of Fame. I mean, I like Brent.
Yeah. So, right. But, I'm not on the. So I can
Wow.
only do what I can do. But
Wow.
I'm
trying to say I'm not trying to be mean here, Tommy, at all. But I can think of a lot of guys who were 10 times better than Brent Price who aren't in the Hall of Fame. That is, I don't understand that.
I asked them two guys, and I love Brent Price.
Wow. I like Brent a lot, but come on now.
Yeah, but he's deserving. But I think the guys that I thought about, Matt, and you probably can think of some guys at Oklahoma State, but I think of two guys that really come to mind, and I asked them to consider Chu Kennedy and Anthony Bowie.
Yep.
Both Oklahoma kids. Chu with Northwest Classen.
Yep.
Bowie from Tennessee Central.
Yep.
And then Bowie goes on to Seminole and then comes and plays at OU and then played 8 seasons in the NBA.
Well, who are the other ones from OU?
Well, the people that are in, Wayman is in,
Alvin Adams
is in, my dad, and my dad, of course, is a coach. But Brent's only the fourth player. So the player, Stacey King.
Stacey, okay.
Stacey, Wayman, Alvin Adams, and Brent will be the fourth.
So let me get this straight. So you're trying to tell me that Blake Griffin, he made him for Blake?
I guess so. So here's
Seems to be.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Let me
I'm
now
sorry,
you
dude. I'm
you've
sorry.
got me on my Hall of Fame thing again, and this is what I say for Oklahoma
Wow.
basketball, which is important to me. Oklahoma football is very important,
Yeah.
but for me and my family, Oklahoma basketball, that's what I would like to promote. And so the thing is when I did my history and the whole program, the whole time for University of Oklahoma basketball, there's only one person that's in the Naismith Hall of Fame, and that's Coach Bruce Drake.
Wait a minute.
And
What?
that's it. He's the only one. There's one, Bruce Drake. He coached in the 30s and the 40s, and he invented an offense called the shuffle offense. It's a passing game that North Carolina ran, Kansas ran. Like Norm Stewart told me, it was brilliant. But in the College Basketball Hall of Fame, the only people from the University of Oklahoma that are in that is Bruce Drake, Wayman Tisdale, and Lon Kruger.
Man,
Well, but Lon Kruger
That's
didn't
it.
go in as an OU guy. I'm sure he went in as a K-State guy, didn't he?
that's wild.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so when you look at, when Wayman was diagnosed with cancer, my dad was able to pick up the phone and he called Norm Stewart. Norm Stewart is he founded Coaches versus Cancer. If you may remember the
Yes.
famous when Missouri came in to play the Sooners and
Oh,
Norm
yeah.
collapsed on the plane and they found that he had colon cancer. After he came back and so Norm was very powerful in the NABC in the College Basketball Hall of Fame. But when my dad realized Wayman probably wasn't going to make it, he called Norm Stewart and pushed hard for Wayman to be inducted into the College Hall. So Wayman knew that he was going in before he passed. He just didn't make it long enough.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing. Well, when he the first 3-time All-American, freshman,
in the
sophomore,
history of the
junior in
game,
history of the game? Wasn't he the
yeah,
first one?
that's correct. Yeah, because back in the 60s and 70s, freshmen couldn't play.
Right.
So,
Yeah, so no Kareem,
Lou Alcindor,
no
aka
Bill Walton, no
Bill
Elvin
Walton, those guys,
Hayes. Yeah, none of them.
yeah, couldn't do it. But yeah, Wayman is the first and only, three-time first team All-American as a freshman,
Yes.
sophomore, junior.
That's just insane.
Correct.
That's insane.
And so he's in, but there's guys like, Alvin Adams and Gar Hurd and Clifford Ray and John McLeod. Oklahoma basketball has a really nice legacy and history.
Yep.
And, one day, hopefully that's the goal, that they win a national championship in basketball. It's hard to believe it hasn't happened. We came really close in '88, still heartbreaking, but we're still very proud of that team. Stacey King, I talked to Harvey Grant couple of weeks ago. Harvey actually contacted me back. He was in Africa on a trip. But those are brothers that I'll have the rest of my life.
Yes.
And it's just been a blessing.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to talk to something off the air. I'm not going to announce this in public yet, that we're doing right now, something along those lines about basketball in Oklahoma. So, and I'll talk to you about it off air. I'll shoot you a text.
I would love to know.
I would love to know. But yeah, this is something that we're going to clear up a lot of air that the Oklahoma college sports thing. A lot of these guys were like, okay, we're going to teach you about who really could play basketball in Oklahoma and who can't. we're gonna really go through it. Like, okay, these are the guys who can play. Okay, so a lot of these players, coaches, none of this. Who is going to look good for you to raise money or put people in the stand? None of that nonsense. This is going to be who are guys who could play and who can't. Because one thing about players, Tommy, if somebody is better than you or not.
That's right.
At basketball, like I tell people, hockey and stuff, but in basketball is the one really sport where if somebody's better than you. There ain't no, you guard this guy. I guess hockey is kind of the same because it's one-on-one, but if somebody's better than you.
Pretty quickly, or if they're a lot bigger than you, then right away. Right away. When you're getting knocked
everybody,
and it's not right away.
And everybody knows. It ain't no secret. There ain't no press coming in and saying blah blah blah. Like no, guy, you're high. That guy over there, he was a beast. So, but anyway, but I'll talk to you about it off air. So anyway, brother, hey, I thank you for being on. We can get back on and talk about it some more in another week or so, whenever you want to come on and talk about it. And then let's get Billy Ball.
Well, that sounds great, and I'll get you the information for Kevin Henderson at the Hall of Fame. And Ben, it was good talking to you as well. And
You as well, Tommy. Thank you.
All right. I
Appreciate-
love hockey. I just wasn't tough enough for it.
Yeah, me either. Me either.
Hey, and
My
there's
dad
not
told
a,
me
there's
stories
not
about
a,
you.
where I grew up in Beaumont, Texas. There's not a lot of frozen ponds.
Yep.
I bet it's not.
I agree with that. I understand that. I grew up here in Oklahoma City, and we had one frozen pond, and that's the one that I was on.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I enjoyed it, and thank you for having
thank
me
you.
on.
And tell,
well, thank you.
tell the wife and family hello for me too, bro.
You got it, Matt.
I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. That was Tommy Tubbs and his idea, and everybody, like, we're on board trying to bring Billy Ball to the College Hall. I just can't believe he's not already in there. When he says that, I mean, everybody I talk to go, isn't he already in there? And I'm like, yeah, no. I assumed it
That's
too.
wild.
So
My dad called me whenever I said that he was coming on. I texted my dad, and then he called me right away, and he's like, he told me about 15 stories about everything about Billy, and then he told me like a couple about. He's like, I saw Tommy play.
Yeah,
and he's like, so he's like, that's awesome. So I thought that was
crazy.
pretty cool.
It's crazy. We got to fix that, bro. We definitely got to fix that. So let's take this opportunity to thank our sponsors, Collaborative Logic. I want to appreciate them for keeping us up and running and all the things they do. If you have any needs for some computers, software written, or computers to be bought, or website design, they are the people for that. SRB, if you have any engineering, surveying, or planning, call my guy Mark Long and he will hook you up. Oak Grove Trucking and our guy Jose Fierro. Bro, I'm wearing my USA shirt tonight, and we will talk about, he sent us a deal talking about USA and Portugal. Bro, we haven't got to it. We're too busy talking about bring Billy Ball to the Hall.
We had to cover
we haven't got there yet. We haven't got there
yet.
yet. We're going to get there. Then, of course, Greg and Max Nafy, appreciate everything they do to sponsor us. And then YNB, family owned and operated since 1912. They are the bank that makes things happen. They're an equal housing lender, member of the FDIC. You can pre-qualify online at www.ynbok.com. That's www.ynbok.com. And they're also our sponsor for us to go out and support minority women and black-owned businesses in the OKC area. You can go into any of the locations located to the right side. And then, of course, DT Construction and Consulting. If you have any needs for roofing or anything to be done with your house inside or out, my guy Drew Henthorne is the guy for that. 405-209-4051, DT Construction 2015 at Outlook. They're respectful, local, and loyal, which means he answers his phone if you call. That's what that means, okay? That's what that means right now, if you want to know that. And then, of course, let's get to it right now so Jose will be happy. Women's World Cup soccer. Portugal versus the USA tonight at 2 a.m., which means if I do my normal wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and have to go to the bathroom, I will watch that. And it's integral. The USA have to be able to win or draw for this game because in the standings right now.
Yep, they're tied. It's like a crazy tie.
Yeah, well, the way that it's standing in Group E, which is our group, we each have 4 points with the Netherlands because we had a draw. But the deal is that we have more points than anybody else in that division. So we're set when it comes to goal-wise. We have an advantage. But if we lose, we're out. So that's why we have to
we probably
win.
got to score at least a couple here
right,
real
because,
quick. And I mean, like, some of these engines got to get going. We got these. I mean, we have a firepower team. Like, I just don't understand what's going on right now. But they're going to get together tonight.
Yeah, we're trying to get there. Then, of course, Netherlands plays Vietnam, which they're probably going to win. That you would think. And then, of course, Portugal. We have to at least tie with them and hope that the Netherlands and neither one of them score more than 2 goals, or that Portugal doesn't score more than 2. Because if we have a draw, tie, whatever you want to call it, with with Portugal, then we're automatically in, but we're the number 2 seed, not the number 1 seed. So we want to go ahead and get a W so we are the number 1 seed coming out of our division, because the last thing you want to do is be a number 2 seed and then go into a bracket playing against a number 1 seed that you probably didn't want to see until later. So it's important that we do that.
I really like to see us use I know we only use one sub the other night. I'd really like to see if we're not getting the job done, let's get another. We got enough legs out there. I think these ladies are good. I think they're the best in the world. So let's throw somebody else out there. If somebody's a little tired or something's going on with their fitness, let's get somebody else out there.
Well, Rose Lavelle should have been starting, but of course she was coming off injury, so they're easing her back in. So Rose Lavelle is better.
But there's got to be more than that, though.
Well, no.
We got to do something.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is she should be starting, but she's easing back in. And then you didn't put Megan Rapinoe, even though she's older and Drew's not a fan of hers. She still brings that energy or something that we need because
I
of that
think even
first
the
match.
last 15 minutes, something like that, a good sub, like because like that's what just put her in then.
Yeah,
She's still in good shape. Everything's going good. So
right.
I mean, like, and she's a leader too. You need some of that sometimes.
Yeah, I
Somebody that
agree.
can lead the troops. Like, let's go out there and let's go fight for this. Let's go do it.
I
So
agree
I think
100%.
sometimes you just gotta. Well, yeah.
Got
So
to
let's
shake it
do
up,
that.
but you know what?
I'd like to see more than one sub. Is all that I'm saying.
I agree. I agree. And the one sub made all the difference. And I think that it will make. But you know what I'm saying? With that 75th point, 75th, 77th minute, I thought you make another sub right in there. You get some more energy. But he felt like that he liked what he was seeing out there, and so he did not make any subs. That's what he said. He's the coach. Even though we disagree with it, still it's what he decided that he wanted to do. But we have to beat Portugal tonight, and because when you look on the other side, Switzerland 5 points. Norway finished second in that division.
Mm-hmm.
Australia had 2 wins in their thing. Japan, all 3 wins. How about that? They had 3 wins in their division. So
they're good. That's
they
usually
are really good.
They are finals.
Yep. So they won all 3 of theirs, but the last thing you want to do is be stuck with Japan, and you have to play them right away. You can be on the other side because we are the number 1 ranked seed, so we do have a favorable pick if we go over to the other side. But you have to be able to finish first in your group, and so it's a must win for the USA tonight because I think
I'll probably wake up and I might wake up and watch a little bit of that. If they all play like that, Lindsay Horan the other night, that was awesome.
After she got hit though, man,
that was nasty.
After she got hit,
I loved that.
After she got hit,
loved it.
I
loved it. I was so pumped to see that.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing, Ben, is that as an athlete, especially when you're good and somebody pisses you off, and I believe that had that not happened, I don't know if we would have scored. I don't
think so either. To be honest, she went out there, and then
30 seconds later. 30 seconds later. 30 seconds later, man. 30 seconds later. Okay.
Oh yeah, that's what I was talking about a little bit with Tommy. Saying like when you go out there and you talk a little bit of trash, a little bit, and then you get in somebody's head, and then you go out there and go score. Oh my gosh, that's the best feeling. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. That stuff is awesome. So I can't imagine how that felt, especially if you're a country like that. You know what I mean? That's incredible.
Yep. So we have a big deal tonight. We've got to get that in, and we've got to do that. Now, one thing that I was looking at too, in the weekend's news, Terrence Crawford knocked out Errol Spence. I don't know if you saw the fight. Did you see the fight?
Yeah, and then the entrance was sweet too when he came out with Eminem. He came out with Eminem rapping.
It's so funny.
Dude,
they go, if they'd have been at the deal, they'd have ran straight to the window. And I said that's why the numbers went up so fast because people saw that they went straight to the window and like, hey, let's bet right now because
busy night in Vegas.
Oh, they lost their big money on that fight. But Crawford knocked him out in the 9th, and our boy Drew Hinthorn of HuskerDrewPicks.com. Ben, I don't know if you knew this, but. Anyway, so we're sitting there, and
I didn't know till you said something.
Yeah, we're sitting there, and then he and our girl Angie was there too, and so she's sitting there, and so Drew's like, Angie, you want to split it with me? I want to bet the under 10.5 for the fight not to last so long. She goes, yeah. So they split that, and then Drew is looking and talking about me and Dryden and talking to all of us, and he goes, man, I really want to bet 100, but he always talks about don't get outside. You're betting, stay where you stay in your units. Stay in your units. And so he did that, and he bet $50 on him to knock him out in the 9th. So in the 6th, he almost had him talking about Crawford, and in the 7th, he almost had him, and you could tell in the 8th round, he just cruised. He could have knocked him out in the 8th if he'd have really pressed. But you could tell he was going for the 9th. And we were laughing because we're like, his boys probably told him, hey, man, we got this bet on him to knock him out in the 9th. Don't let him knock him out before the 9th.
Yeah, gotta wait.
Gotta wait.
The
So,
on the side,
you already know.
I told you not more than 10. I told you.
But anyway, he became the first fighter to have the undisputed IBF, WBA, WBC, and WBO. So he had 2 different weight classes, all the belts in both. So congratulations to Terrence Crawford. What a beast
he congratulations.
was.
Kudos there for sure. That's so awesome. And he's such a great fighter. He's like so awesome to watch.
Yeah, he was just, dude, the look in his eye. When you saw Spence for doing all that warm-ups, when he's doing all his jabs, doing all that, and Crawford's just sitting there, you get like, oh, yeah, this dude he's looking to kill somebody tonight. And then, of course, in the Gaethje knocking out Poirier, in the second round with that vicious right kick. Oh my
That was
goodness.
nasty.
Oh, and it's so funny is you could see Poirier's face because he closed his eyes. He could say like,
Vibrate.
"Oh, no." Well, he looked and saw it coming. He closed his eyes like, "Oh."
Oh yeah,
You
here
know,
it comes.
here it comes, and it was nothing he could do. It was right there, and just
Right on the
bam!
button.
Oh,
Right on
it
the
was over.
button.
And then, of course, LeBron James' son Bronny is in good condition after
That's
his
good to hear,
cardiac
too.
arrest. That was really good to hear that because see,
Yeah.
because I don't really watch UFC. The thing I don't like about UFC, and I know a lot of people do, I don't like it, and excuse me. What I don't like about it is I don't like all the wrestling. I mean, fight, and if you get on the ground and 10 seconds,
Yeah,
whatever,
so-
all that, I'm like, get up. And I don't want to see you. I'm not here to watch no wrestling.
The last two major pay-per-views have been like honestly like the two best that I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
like the two major ones, like
Yes.
like they have them every Saturday. But the last two like major like cards that they put together have been really, really, really good.
yeah,
And then then there's one mid-August that's supposed to be pretty good too. So I'm actually excited. I hope
well,
Cats get
anything
it.
other than them doing their normal wrestling, I was like, I'm not
Yeah,
trying to
I
watch
know what you're
wrestling.
talking about,
I
though. I know what
I
you're
don't
talking
watch it. I'm
about.
not interested in that. I don't want to see that. And all these lives, I'm like, look, I don't want to see all that. Get up and fight. I want
know
to see
exactly
some
what you're
fighting.
saying.
I don't want this. Now you get him down if you can choke him or whatever. But all that wrestling
Yeah.
and all. I mean,
Yeah, when they do like the 5
yeah,
minutes,
I'm
and I
like,
understand.
yeah, I don't want to see
they're
all
trying to
that.
get an advantage.
I'll go outside and go do something, whatever, anything. I don't want to watch that. I want to watch some action.
I'm with you. I'm with you, boss.
But anyway, and then speaking of Drew, let's go ahead and give his picks. He's not on to do it.
yeah.
He's taking the Braves and the money line
He's been doing
205. Yep, the Marlins money line minus 111. The Padres and the Rockies over 11.5. The Yankees and Rays under 8.5, 105. And I will tell you, he was on fire last week. What was he, 29 and 11 or some stupid number? Even though he didn't do very good last night, but with him picking the fight and the deal, dude, he was up. And if you're following him,
with how much, with how much those. That had to be like over plus 1,000 up there,
yeah,
plus
it was
800 or
yeah,
something
it was
like
way.
that.
It
Had
was,
to be crazy.
He did
number
good.
like that.
He did good, bro. He did real good, believe me. He was him and them doing the dance. I was like, y'all need to don't ever do that in front of me again. That was one of the worst things I've ever seen, Ben. I was like, y'all don't do that to me again.
Never
I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. Then, of course, in NFL news, coach running back Jonathan Taylor had a trade request, but he's saying he's having back pain.
Yeah.
Because after what Irsay
didn't he have a
said,
surgery though? So
well, no,
like,
what Irsay basically told him if Irsay died and that he was out of the league, that it wouldn't matter because the NFL is still going to go on without him. I'm like, bro, I mean, Irsay is a worse version of Jerry Jones is what he is. Anyway, he's not one of the best owners to me in the league. And the question is, Ben, do you think that the wide receiver duo, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waller, is the best duo in the NFL?
Oh, man, that's close. I like Seattle's duo with Metcalf and Lockett. Maybe. I mean, it's close.
T. Higgins and Jamar?
Yeah, I like that a lot too. I mean, I think that's
Yeah, Keenan Allen and what's his name for the Chargers? Not bad either.
Michael Williams.
Yes, and the thing is that Tua is up for extension. Speaking of throwing it to the best two wide receivers, he's up for an extension. Do you pay him? I mean, he's going to get he's going to get 40 something. He's not going to get.
Got to be incentive, right?
Yeah, he's not going to get he's not going to be the highest paid quarterback.
A good chunk up front, and then like the rest will pretty much be like have to be incentive. I would think.
I don't
That's
think
just
I'm talking about yearly salary. Is he going to be the highest paid like the other guys, or is he going to be?
No, you can't. No, you can't afford to do that with his injury history. No way.
Do you put him above Patrick Mahomes at $45 million, or do you put him right above Daniel Jones at 40 and Dak at 40?
I put him below that. I put him like it'll be incentive. Like so, he'll get a base salary of I'd say like 35. So you give him. So
you put him below Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I'm
Daniel's
doing like
35,
40. And then like say like then you get like his incentives got to be like that he plays for like half a season or something. He's too injury prone, man. You can't just like go give him a ton of money if he's just gonna go like fall one time and get a concussion. You just pay him like no way.
Yeah.
No, you can't do that. Like you're running $1 billion, multi-billion-dollar company. You can't afford to do that.
Yep.
If you like, say your best typer and you're, working at a, Apple and they can't type, like, or something like that. Like, you can't just afford to just pay them with that. Like, they're getting carpal tunnel every week. Like, you can't, like, do that.
Yep,
You can't
agreed.
just, like, pay him a ton of money. So,
Agreed.
yeah, like, so if it's got to be incentive based, I think. And it's got to be, like, mid to, large incentive basis. So, like, you do him, like, a level. If he does for X amount of yards, X amount of touchdowns,
But that's
X
a
amount
quarterback.
of games
They're not going to
played.
pay him less than $40 million, Ben. He's not getting less.
I think it's got to be like games played.
He's
I
not
think he
giving
has
it-
to play like
They're going to
like
give him.
he
Well,
has to.
Ben, they're going to give him a minimum of 40. He's going to get a minimum
And
of
that's
that.
just going to be what he's going to get.
That's going to be.
That's
yeah.
divided by every game.
No,
So then
they're going to give him a minimum of 40, and then maybe incentivized up to 50 something. But they're going to give him a minimum of 40. They're not going to.
I don't think.
They're not going to do that.
I just think with the injury, I wouldn't do it. But I mean, I guess where else are you going to go find another quarterback?
Right.
I don't really see too many good ones for the next couple of years.
And then Niners
So
coach.
that's probably a good call. That's probably a good call.
Niners coach Kyle Shanahan says Brock Purdy has no arm trouble at all. He's looking great in the preseason and doing what he's doing. And I'm just like, man, okay, I don't. If you say so, I don't know.
I hope so. I hope he's just ready to go and he just comes and blows the place out of the water.
I agree. Now in the top 100, Ben, we're at 80 to 70, 80 to 61, and 80 is your boy Mark Andrews at the Ravens. You have an issue with that?
80, number 80.
He's number 80.
I feel like, oh man, I feel like he could be just a little bit low.
I think he should be lower.
That's okay.
I think he should be higher than that or lower.
A little bit low.
Lower, whichever.
Like
little,
higher,
no,
like higher, like closer to 60 than 80.
Yes. Dre Greenlaw, linebacker of the Niners. He's pretty good.
Yeah, he's good. He's a good player. I don't know if he stacks up to some of those guys that were in like the 90s that like we liked that maybe could pull down, but he's a good player.
And then Huganga, the safety for the Niners, he's 78, so they're back-to-back Niners.
Yeah, they did it on the other one too, and like even right below that, there's two more of the same team. I think they might have just been like, "Hey, these guys are pretty good." But yeah, I mean, I like him too. That Niners defense, I think probably about 7 or 8 of them should be on this top 100. They're great.
Yeah, they've got several.
They're great.
Yeah, they got several. And then of course, Geno Smith, your boy Geno's Pizza in the 77.
My man.
And then
he's serving it up. 77. I might like make a pizza next week and just like customize it out and call it the 77. Geno's.
Spare me. Then you got Tariq Woolen, the quarterback of the Seahawks, coming in 76. Trey Hendrickson, the defensive end, he's pretty good for the Bengals.
He's good. Good
Yep.
player.
Garrett Wilson, I think he should be higher than this. The wide receiver for the Jets, he's better than 74. But we're not. Like I said, once again, we're not betting. We're not the ones doing this. They are. Buda Baker, the safety for the Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, he's getting a little Lamar.
Yeah, they got Lamar at 72. And he should be up above that. But you know what? He ain't played the last 2 years in the postseason. He's missed the last 2 December. So then DeForest Buckner, 71. Joey Bosa, 70. Matt Milano, the linebackers at the Bills. And you know what? I think that I take Dre Greenlaw over Matt Milano to me. But I'm not a player, so I'm not going to really argue with him. Zach Martin still has not showed up, and he's 68th, even though he's the only offensive lineman with a 99 rating from Madden. Amon-Ra St. Brown, wide receiver for the Lions.
He had a great year last year.
He really did.
I think he's going to do awesome this year, too. I'm going to definitely try and get him in all my fantasy leagues.
Yep, and then Jared Goff, quarterback.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, see, I think they do that sometimes just back to back, just so it makes it easy.
Yep.
But yeah, no, Jared Goff, I think he stinks. I mean, put him I think Geno's way better than Jared Goff, but Jared Goff just had a great year last year.
He had a really good year.
It is what it is.
Really good year. Then Darius Slay, the cornerback for the Eagles. Aaron Jones, running back for the Packers. Grady Jarrett. Yep, Grady Jarrett, defensive tackle at the Falcons. He's a monster, dude. He's a monster. But Aaron,
boy, he's a big boy.
He's a big boy. Bobby Wagner, the middle linebacker of Wagner.
Yeah, and then I think Debo is a slap in the face.
He's Seahawks. And Debo, 61, he's better than that. But once again, this is voted on by players.
Yeah, I think people probably just don't like him.
Yeah, and then, of course, Mike Sandel for the Athletic, he voted his quarterback tiers. Mahomes, Burrow, Josh Allen, Rodgers, and Herbert are his tier 1. And he was talking about, Mahomes. And he's like and he was saying, how Mahomes, he goes, it's really Mahomes and everybody else. He said, because when you look at historically, Mahomes They had Joe Montana had a top 5 defense, top no less than top 10 every year in San
Yeah, yeah.
Francisco. And Tom Brady, when he won his first few Super Bowls, they were no less. When he won his Super Bowls, they
Oh,
were
they were
no less than top
fantastic.
10.
They were
And he
so
goes, and
stout.
Mahomes is a defense, worst defense, no special teams bad, all of that, and he still wins. He said, so you have to put him at another level considering what these other guys had around him compared to what he has. Plus, you lose Tyreek Hill.
He said
You still have
Mahomes
to,
had no special teams, didn't?
wasn't that his special
It's
teams
like,
wasn't that good either. That's what he said. I thought his special teams was pretty good. But
I
remember,
thought so too. I was like,
but
Andy
remember,
Reid's pretty
but remember,
crafty.
he got
He knows
the
what he's doing.
remember the quote they lost to Philip. They lost to whatchamacallit because Harrison Butker missed a field goal. He missed a field goal against the Bengals.
Yeah, I think the kicking was the problem.
Kicking was
They
the
always
problem.
had good
Yes,
returning because they always had Tyreek, and
yep,
then they got
kicking.
so like I think it
So
was
that's why he was saying
Butker
that.
kind of.
He kind of had a bad year after he got hurt. Jalen
Yeah, you're right.
Hurts,
You're right.
Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, Trevor Lawrence, Dak, Matthew
Whoa.
Stafford, Deshaun, and Kurt in tier 2. I know. To me, Deshaun is the Bills. The Browns are to me are the one team that they're
Big
an
question
enigma
mark
to
for
me.
me.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell to think of them. I really don't, Ben. I really don't know what to think of them. I just don't. I really don't know what to
Like,
think of
and
them.
I don't know. I mean, I just Dak really scares me too. I don't know what's going to go on with that with all his interceptions last year. Going with that, and then
And the
moving
question is,
into
Ben, what are they going to do with him in 2
no
years when
Zeke.
they owe him
What,
$59
Zeke
million?
Huh?
They're going to owe him $59 million, I believe,
Yeah,
in 2
that ain't.
years.
I don't know.
Dak is not worth $59 million. Under no circumstances. Is he?
I would say not a chance because I didn't even think that what's his name was worth that earlier. So like no.
Yeah, I can't do it. So I can't do it. But anyway, all right, B. Well, let's run. Let me go because we've been on for an hour and a half. Tommy got
Yeah,
us
let's get
all
out of here.
squared away, and great. Appreciate Tommy Tubbs coming on
Oh, that
today
was
talking
awesome.
about bringing Billy Ball to the Hall, and we're going to do. I just still can't believe he's not in there. When he said that to me, I'm like, man, what are you talking about? He's surely in the Hall of Fame. He goes, no. And I'm sorry if you have 361 wins and you're not in the Hall of Fame. I don't know what. Or 641 wins, I'm sorry. 641 wins and you're not in the Hall. I mean, what do you got to do? That's 20 wins a season. What do you got to do? The
Especially
Hall of
back
Fame.
back in
But
those days when they weren't playing as many games as they
yeah,
are
the Hall of
today.
Fame to me is so ridiculous, man. I mean, like, with the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame, I'm just sitting there looking at it and I'm just going, I'm sorry, but you're putting Brent Price in there and these other guys aren't in the Hall of Fame. I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, I like Brent, but he wasn't even one of the best basketball players. I mean, I know he played in the league, and that's cool, but he was not one of the best basketball players of all time in high school. I'm like, what do you? I like him. He's a good kid, but I can name 30 people better than him, at least. I don't. The Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame is a joke to me. I'm sorry. I like Mike. I like him, but his committee and the people that they have who make decisions, it's ridiculous. But the thing that we're going to do, Ben, we're going to put all of this to rest when we do the big thing that I've got coming up. We're going to put all this stuff all this to rest. We're going to okay, here are from players and coaches, not these nonsense. These are players and coaches, and they're going to say, okay, these are the best. Here's who we recommend. These are the guys who played, and this is what it is. So we're going to do our own little thing and knock them to the curb. Like, y'all need to go on because y'all don't know what y'all are doing over there. So it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. But anyway, appreciate you, bro.
Yes, sir, brother.
That's
Had a good time. You have a good day, all right?
Yep, I'll see you tomorrow. My
Cheers.
guy Ben Dillman, High Stick Harry doing his thing. Appreciate him being on. And Tommy Tubbs, once again, thank you for coming on today and getting me that information, and we will do what we do with that. That being said, everybody have a nice day. Try to stay cool.